everybody. Guess what? We're here to do the November energy update. Honestly, I do not know where this last month has gone. Yeah, it's just like October has just been a blur. But, I think as we go through this journey, we start to realize how they just said time's a figment of your imagination. So, we've constructed that too. But needless to say, we are in a creation that we've made of time, so it still is a thing, but it's very different right now. I think many of you have started to notice that as well. And with a blink of an eye, here we are at almost the end of 2022. So, and yet it's funny because at times it's weird, like the different parts of time, like days, weeks, months, they all seem to run counter to each other. And what I mean by that is over the course of the year, what I noticed was my days would fly away. And I literally would go from 10 o'clock in the morning and all of a sudden it's 5 and I'm like, well, I don't even know how that happened. And yet then in the course of that same day, that week would go extremely slow, or vice versa. So it's just, time's just odd these days. But anyway, we're here for the energy update for November, and we're just going to see what happens and what comes in. So I was going to do this outdoors because it's a gorgeous fall day here in Iowa, and it's probably one of our last few, I would probably say, although who knows anymore with the way the weather is. But I wanted to do this outside, but it got kind of windy, so I don't want any distractions for these. So typically what you get is me in my office doing these videos. And primarily that's why. It's because sometimes the wind just whistles so much or there's other distractions. But so I'm dressed up for outdoors, but I'm indoors. So needless to say. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Carolyn. I'm a channel. I'm a distance energy healer, and I'm a spiritual awakening mentor. And I offer these channeled messages to support you along your life journey and your ascension and awakening journey, which you can argue is all the same. So today we're going to launch into what we can look forward to, what we can see coming up for November, taking us into the rest of the year. And we're just going to see what they have to say, and we're going to follow the thread of the thing today. So thanks so much for joining me today. So for those of you who have not yet done so, you might want to check out the description box below. There's a link that takes you to a free video on how to create flow in your body for health and wellness, which, as we know, during this journey is incredibly important to be able to create that flow to allow the energies to move through us. So there's some great tips in that video. But what I believe more importantly is to send you over to my email list, which offers you weekly on Fridays a beautiful channeled message from the Light Keepers, who are the group of angelic beings who I channel for your awakening and ascension and life journey. So needless to say, joining over there on my email list will give you a really neat message every week on a Friday, typically for the week forward. And that's what I use my email list for. So if you want some more free content, check it out over there. I also offer Facebook, where more of my channeled poems from the Light Keepers are housed, and that is under Purple Rain Healing. So that's more free content for you as well. Okay, so anyway, I think we're just going to go ahead and just launch right in. Whew, wow, and see what they have to say about what we can expect in November. Okay, they just said the word. Oh boy. Okay, I don't know where we're going here. I never know where we're going. Galactic movement. Okay, they're talking about the stars will shine, opening up the divine. Okay, they're going to start maybe with a poem. Opening up with the divine for your year end. Oh, okay. This is the eclipse season. This is the eclipse season. Well, so we just had the eclipse, the first of the what we'll call season, right? On the 25th. That was a partial solar eclipse. I don't recall where it was able to be seen, but needless to say, it affects all of us. So this is what they're talking about, the stars. Okay. Stars, sun, and moon align to bring into you the greater of the divine. Oh, wow. Okay. Magnifying your trip along, we say, the pathway you've chosen to be. For it is your choice, you see, of which way you will go and be. Whatever you choose, it will magnify to see in what you manifest. truly a sight to see. It is beauty of grace and light we find how the star systems and the galactics all support you in time. Lined up directly for you, we say, oh, like a wind-up clock that ticks the time away, and the cogs and the wheels turn, we say, together to bring you the journey you planned in your day. And then the manifestations of your dreams come true as you work parallel effort with us, we say too, and come along for the journey, we say, for it is not just a one-way street in your day. And yes, you are going through the awakening to an ascension is right in front of you, but as we have spoken before, it is important to open the door and travel through that door, we say, joining us in this journey, for we help you in your day. But it takes a partnership, yes, we find, for you know this by now, many of you have found in time that as you put the energy into the thing that is coming to you and that you wish for in your way, you see it start to manifest over time in your day, and have trust and faith, and know, we say too, that we are always here with you. And sometimes it feels like it isn't, we say, and we're gone and oh yes, far away, but we never are. Oh yes, we find it is like the child coming out, for the first time, walking their own path, yes, we say, for sometimes you have to walk and learn to topple over in your own way, but we will always pick you up, we say too. Understand, this is the beauty of this journey, we say too. You are never alone, we find, so understand that, regardless of what you will journey through in time. And as you go through the rest of this year, we say, hold tight to our hands, for we will never let you go astray. Oh my gosh. Okay, so for those of you who don't know how I channel, which can be a little confusing at times, everything comes through me without me going into a trance. Okay, because there are people who do trance channeling, right? And they really lose themselves to become somebody else. That's not me. I'm a facilitator of the information, so it just flows through me. And I set my human aside. It just kind of happens naturally. It's just who I am. I set my human aside, but I can interact. So that's why you see me get surprised and excited about things. Wow, this is so positive and beautiful. And you know, I think what happens with us is we take this journey of life in general and we start going through the awakening, regardless of what stage we're in. We start to realize how much the external influence has on our journey, if we allow it, right? And that goes to media, news, politics, the constructs of life, of how we've lived our life, of what we've been told we have to do and how we have to live, and the shoulds and must-dos, all of that, right? As we start to set that aside and start just, they just said speaking your own truth and following your own path and making shifts and changes to it as you desire, you start realizing, okay, what they're showing me now is the Wizard of Oz. But they're showing the wizard behind the curtain. Remember that? When everybody's so scared of the wizard? And all of a sudden pulled back the curtain and there was this just little old man who didn't really know what he was doing. That's what they're talking about with respect to all the things that we think are so spooky and scary and that are troubling and all of that in the external world. What we start to do, and I think some of you are going to be able to relate to this, is we start to be able to see it as kind of the Wizard of Oz, the old wizard, and it's like, oh, okay, that is its own hot mess, right? And yes, we're here on Earth to participate as well. It doesn't mean we don't participate, but this, they're showing, they've got some fun metaphors today. So they're showing, do you remember Pigpen? I used this in a client session the other day. They brought this in. Pigpen from Peanuts comic strip with all his dust, carrying his dust wherever he went, right? That's what they're talking about. You kind of look over there and there's a big old dust ball. It's just a big bunch of dust. And you're like, I'm not going in there. I'm not going to get all dusty and I'm not going over there. Whereas in the past, probably lived in a lot of that, right? Whether it was your habits, whether it was your relationships, whether it's how you treated yourself, which is probably one of the most important things, right? The environment you lived in, the choices you made, all of that. That's that dust over there. Well, now the awakening journey, okay, so what they're showing is okay, wow, this is interesting. They're showing now, oh, they just said more than ever. The dust over here that we're seeing in old Earth, the part that's, as we've talked before, and they're using different metaphors today to help us understand, but I'm seeing faces peeking out of the dust. Like they kind of go like, oh my gosh, there's something else out there. There's something else out there. And so, okay, they're talking about more and more will come out of the dust. Okay, into the clarity, because it is the awakening journey offers us clarity. Oh, it's a slog, right? I mean, it's not simple. It's beautiful, but it's not simple. So it's offering us clarity. So what they're showing now is as these, wow, I've always said I wish I could draw these pictures, like really offer them, because they would be so neat to offer them to you guys. But what I'm seeing is these faces peering out of the dust, and for the first time, seeing that this doesn't have to be my world. In November? Okay, it's because the eclipse season has started now, at the end of October. I think we have a lunar eclipse. Don't quote me. Why do I want to say the 10th of November? There's something there in early November, which I will also probably have a short video on when it comes to be. What they're showing is this eclipse season. Okay, they just showed, okay, they're funny today. They're showing, oh, I have a lot of chills. And they're confirming that, okay? Because when I get chills, they're confirming that. So in the dust storm over here, Pigpen's dust ball that the collective's walking around in, they're showing getting booted out, like a kick out. And these people are coming out. That's the eclipse on the 25th. So it's starting to kick people out of their old ways. Again, remember, this is a progressive process of continued collective awakening. So there are times where we're going to repeat some of the same things, but we'll always use different metaphors usually, right? But this is continuing to be enhanced. It's more, okay, they just showed ants on the anthill. They're really into the metaphors today. Ants in an anthill, okay, following each other. That's what ants do, right? They cooperatively exist and work together. But they're showing this happening because of our leadership, the light workers, the first wavers, and second, third, whatever wavers, right? Those of us in the beginning, because we really are at the beginning. I don't care if you just started your awakening journey. You're still at the beginning, because guess what? We have so many more in the collective that aren't even aware of this. They're in the dust storm. So they're getting booted out, okay? Many of them are getting booted out now, and they're showing them sitting on the ground, collecting themselves. We've talked a lot about in the past, these big waves, like all of a sudden we're going to notice a lot of people waking up. And we've noticed this in our own personal lives. And I've talked about that before. I don't have a big circle of family friends. Very tiny, actually. And I have 3 people. I have 3 people who are in their early stages of their awakening journey, who honestly, I never thought that would happen to. But remember, never count anybody out. Never, 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 even regardless of what their circumstances look like. And so they're sitting on the ground, what they're showing me in November, they're sitting on the ground, they're waiting. Oh, I just heard they're waiting for the pick-me-up. Oh, the call from you. Okay, the call from you. This is where we come in. The call from you. They need a hand up. Okay. Wow, this is interesting. So a lot of us who understand the awakening journey, many of us have moved fast through it recently, and there's not an end point. Remember, you're not ever done. You just get to a point where it's manageable, you understand the process, and you know how to level up, right? You know how to deal with all this. That's kind of what happens, right? It's not like I'm done. I reached the finish line, and now you guys can come join me when you want, and then you sit back and eat bonbons all day. It's not how it works. Anyway, needless to say, we keep on our own journey, but it becomes a smoother process because we understand it better. So, I just heard looking to you. Okay, this is, I feel like we're moving into a kind of a 2023 visual. Like, I'm seeing them sitting on the ground like, I just landed. I just left the duster. Like, shock and awe I just heard. I'm getting the words a hand up. They need you now. All right, so this is where this is going. again, we all have to travel our own journey, but in our spiritual awakening journey, let's say, I'm going to try to use an example. Let's say, and I'm making one up, this is not them giving it to me, you're working in your, what we'll call 3D job. You're going through awakening. Things are kind of status quo with the work, the whole bit, but you're kind of like, I feel like I want to do something with respect to the awakening ascension journey. Now remember, you're always doing, and I'm talking materialist, or in the material world, okay? Remember, you're always doing something energetically. That's not what we're talking about here. That's just a given. You're always doing something energetically. In fact, it's actually very much the unseen energy that is so much more powerful than we know. But what we're talking about is things you might want to create. Because remember, they've talked so much about of late, this year was the year of creation, right? Of starting to create. Now remember, that doesn't mean, oh, you're going to, in the beginning of the year when we started talking about that, like the manifestation is going to happen like, overnight. But you're going to start seeing some of these things. It might just be an idea that you have, but what they're asking, what they're saying is they need, those that are coming out of the dust storm need a hand up. They need a hand up. So that hand up is us. So what I would, in my example of, say you're working in that 3D job and it's, you're going through your awakening journey, you're kind of, I don't want to say doing it on the side, but you're doing it, right? But you've wanted to participate in a different way. Okay, so what they're giving me here, I'm trying to help you understand how to do this. A lot of you are already doing like actual, I'll just say steps toward what you want to offer to others, to the collective as they're going through this awakening journey. But what I'm getting is things just as simple as, okay, now they're giving me, okay, this is interesting because it pairs the energetic us, which we always are, first and foremost, but the creation in the material world, the hand up. Okay, they're showing me like volunteer activities, things that you might not have considered doing before to reach people. And again, this isn't about talking about the spiritual awakening journey, spouting that out. Unless you're in a community, obviously, of like-minded people, like say you sign up for a metaphysical class at a gem and crystal shop or whatever. But what I'm getting here is, as you feel the inspiration to do something small, even something small they're talking about, follow the thread of the thing. Okay, so what they're trying to explain is that, okay, their time for the majority of light workers, there will be, it's like this is our first real mass, they're talking about volunteering. Okay, mass volunteer effort for those who are waking up. It feels to me, I'd be real interested to see what happens to you guys in 2023, because this feels like a 2023 thing, but it's going to start to come, it's going to be, it's almost like in November, the metaphor they're showing is everybody's, the ones coming out of the dust storm are sitting, like, just landed, like, oh my God, and they're on the ground. And you are there, remember this is a metaphor, but you are there and you see them and you're like, huh, okay, what do we do with all, oh, mass migration. Do you remember in the last energy update, they talked about mass migration? This is it. See, I always thought it was actual, it still may be, in the collective, actual, something we see in humankind happening across countries, whatever. I think that will still happen, but what they're talking about is mass migration of light workers, of those awakening. So what they've done is in the metaphor, they've left the dust storm, they plop down, and then we see them, and it's kind of like, it's migration. It's not refugee. It's the metaphor is migration. They're migrating now to their new homeland. Okay, so, and we are there going, okay, they're here. They're here. And it's kind of like that's what November is like, we're kind of, they're freezing this visual, this metaphor. And we're like, okay, we're not shocked. We knew this was coming, but now we're kind of going, how do I help? Think about it like this. In times of natural disasters, things like the hurricanes we just saw in Florida in the United States. All kinds of disasters. The first thing a lot of us do when we don't live in those areas is we like, how can I help? What can I do? That's the visual they're giving me, is that we are going to have in front of us in one way or another an example of this, of those that have landed. We're standing there and we're going, how do I help? That's November, because what we're getting ready for, I just heard the words onslaught of onslaught. Yeah, and that's a positive word. It's an onslaught. It's just like a huge wave. There's a huge wave coming. This has to do with the eclipses. This has to do, remember, the energy behind the eclipses is magnifies, for example, what doesn't serve us any longer, all right? And like pushes us to shift and change, right? And remember, it's energy, so it's pressure. It's pressure. You can't hold it in any longer, regardless of what individuals are going through. Something will crack at some point for those who are ready for that to crack, right? So, okay, so now what they're showing is everybody's in there, and I really want you to understand this, is everybody's in their own little egg, and they're incubating, and what we're seeing now in November is more of the eggs all around the little cracks, like they're ready to be birthed, but they're going to be super shocked, right? A lot of them coming out. So, but what I'm getting for you guys is, or you guys, us, is there's going to be a moment in time, they just said, to be able to, I just heard, offer your services, your knowledge, your understanding, your love and your caring and your kindness, your wings, they just said. Your wings. They're showing wings. And here's the new person coming out. It might be totally unexpected as to who they are. We're going to have this opportunity. And remember, it doesn't mean it's full-fledged understanding of what it is you'll do, but there's something coming for each of you with somebody in some way, it feels. Now, what they're also saying, this is interesting, depending on where you're at in the process, it could be you. You might see yourself, right? So think about this. We go through the awakening journey. Some of us either turn a blind eye to it, or we're still in that dust storm peeking our head out on occasion, or we've landed on the ground and we go to run back, right? It might be you that you're seeing in November, like to save yourself, to help yourself. But I'm very much getting that for many of us, it's going to be, they just said time to assist the greater of you, meaning the greater numbers of us. Because remember, we're all one. And we are in the times now where this, they just said onslaught, right? Where these numbers are increasing. We see it all the time. We're seeing it throughout. You go back to when your journey started, you felt like the only one. Now, a lot of us still do on occasion, but a lot of that is also self-inflicted because we don't really want to be around a lot of other people, right? We make choices, and that's all purposeful. But you're going to start having more conversation. You're going to start, let's just say you also have your own business right now, or you're doing this full time. Something else is coming your way to add, change, shift, activate something more. Maybe it is, let's just use this as an example. Let's say you have your own, whether it's a business or you do this on the side, whatever it is you do to assist in awakening, ascension, whatever it is, all along those lines. And it doesn't even have to be directly tied. It might be, let's say you're a physical therapist, or you're a nurse, and you're doing that work, right? There's something else coming that will assist you in, okay, they just said providing the greater of your knowledge to others. So maybe what you'll do is you'll see an idea to implement. You may find a patient or a client that is attuned to you more. You may assist them in some way. So remember, humans have this tendency to say, oh, this big thing has to land and then I'm going to know. No, that's not how this works. That's not how life's supposed to work. It's a process, right? So you're going to unfold this over November to be able to see how you're going to be able to assist others. Ultimately, this is not a journey where we will, they said, be flying solo. And I'm not talking about romantic relationships, that kind of thing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about not flying solo in the awakening journey. We're not meant to be alone, and we have the process where we come back into ourselves for a period of time, and we never leave that, right? We never leave that, but we then have this period of time where we start coming back out into the external world, presenting. They just said presenting ourselves. There is a ton of energy in this session. So we're presenting ourselves, right? And so what we're doing now is having that opportunity to do this in ways that, okay, they just said doesn't upset the apple cart. In other words, you may have a grand idea, but again, remember this is a process and things grow gradually, all right? And many of you may really start getting activated into creating something that will manifest much larger down the road. And when I say down the road, I'm getting like a real 2023, 2024 feel. Like when we get to 2025, I have a feeling we're not going to recognize this journey. There's a lot that's happening fast, and yet at the same time, it feels like nothing's happening, right? I mean, it just feels like things are falling apart. That's not the case. It has to happen first. I mean, all my other videos, the things we've talked about, we know that has to happen first, that falling apart. But what you're going to have the opportunity for, it feels like very much what I'm seeing is little steps forward, little opportunities in your day-to-day. Even when we are just doing our errands, we're just out there doing our day-to-day. Okay, they just said look for the diamond in the rough. See, we have to be aware too, right? We can't just go through blindly like we do, like in our heads all the time, analyzing our day and not seeing anything around us, right? That's a whole nother part of the journey, is being in the now moment, so that we're able to see those signs and messages, see those other light workers coming our way for assistance, right? And it's not so much how you handle it as a human. A lot of it, as I've said, is energetic, right? You'll find your way. You'll know what you need to do. But what they're talking about is looking for opportunity, looking for that opportunity. How can you assist? It may be something like creating artwork, right? We infuse our energy into artwork. Maybe you put that online, you just share it, right? It doesn't have to be about making money. You may just share it on the side. Maybe you're going to share it on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Because guess what? What you create infuses that divine energy when you have that intent. And anyone that sees it gets that vibration. In fact, this is what they've told me from day one about the Lightkeeper channels. All right, all the poetry that I did. I have hundreds from the Lightkeepers before I ever even started Purple Rain Healing. And what they told me is it's now time, after a year of collecting these, to share this with others, because we are channeling through you to share with those who are going through their awakening journey. Because guess what? Those words have vibration. They have vibration. And when someone reads them and sees them, they take in that higher divine vibration. So keep that in mind. How you offer things, the intent you have when you offer to others carries a vibration. Your creations carry a vibration. Okay, so a little bit more. So that's what I'm seeing for November, which is real interesting. Let's just kind of see if there's anything collectively in the material world that we're going to see. And again, they use metaphors lots of times, so it's kind of like a story or a riddle we have to figure out, which I now figured that mass migration out, even though it could, see, both of these things, when they're metaphors, but they can also, they're metaphors for the understanding and the meaning behind what we bring through, but they're also oftentimes concrete material things that we will see, right? Like the potential for a real migration from country to country or whatever. So collectively speaking, let's just take a look. Oh, okay. Now they're using the apple cart in a different way. They said tip the apple cart. Okay, they're showing it tipping, but not all the apples coming out. They're also framing up election time. This is the United States, right? We got elections coming up. I'm not really involved in, used to be really involved in politics. I don't know what's going on much at all anymore, but we do have an election here. But I'm seeing, it's weird. It's like flash frozen, apple cart going upside down, but it's half apples out, and then it freeze frames. Okay, so they're kind of showing this influence. I don't know why they're showing the United States. It might be the elections, but they're showing this like flowing of influence, they just said. to Europe. I mean, I guess that happens now anyway, but there's something different. Flowing of influence. I don't know if this is coming out of war, but it feels like the politics, and they always talk about politics are actually kind of really irrelevant, but we want to kind of know what's going on the ground, right? Because here we are. They don't really like talking about this part much because they always say it's irrelevant. Politics is irrelevant. Point being, it's kind of like a distraction, and causes the fear, causes all this, causes division. So they're talking about it being irrelevant in the big scheme of things. So they're showing this flow from Washington, from the East Coast. And again, I'm like Google Earth. They show the whole world, and then they show where we're zooming in on, whether it's your past life that I'm bringing through. We tell that story, or it's something like this that I'm doing. Flowing out from the East Coast, they're showing, and this has to be politics because they're talking about the election, and I'm seeing DC flowing out, and I'm seeing over... It's kind of like the results, possibly, of the outcome, even though this is midterms. It's not a presidential election, but they're showing the results flowing out. I'm getting the word impact. This feels like it's connected to a regional situation. It feels like Ukraine and Russia. I don't know what we're... Oh, whoa, I just got super chills. Oh my God. Whoa. Okay. If you guys get chills, you know what I'm talking about, because some of us are really clairsentient when we go through the awakening, and when they want you to know something, and it's not just the little chills, like, yeah, you're right. This is like, you're on target, and this is my full body. Regional situation, Russia and Ukraine, and that influence. I just heard the word stopgap. I don't know if there's a stopgap measure or what's happening. I don't know. I think we're going to leave it there. But clearly we have things going on in the collective that, again, we don't spend a lot of time on this, but I always like to kind of see what's going on for those of you who are really interested in that. Again, they always talk about the irrelevance of politics. I think we can understand that as light workers. So much is energetic, but again, I think it's good for us to just have a kind of understanding on what we might see in the collective. So between now and the end of the year, we're going to see many more. We have another eclipse in November. I don't know past that. I need to look. But you'll hear from me again on this. I'm sure of it. And then through the rest of the year, I just heard picking up the pieces. I don't know what that means. We're going to leave it at that. And again, remember, no fear. When we use things like picking up the pieces, that doesn't mean it's bad. We're picking up pieces of a lot of things. Just think of what the awakening journey's like, right? You're really picking up your pieces and you're putting them together again, right? Kind of like, they just gave Humpty Dumpty. They just gave the metaphor of Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Humpty Dumpty, I don't remember, but he got put back together again, which is what we were doing in this awakening and ascension journey. So I hope you've enjoyed this update today. It was a little different. It was really a little different. A lot of energy around it, like a lot of energy. I feel like I could spin like a top right now. So again, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you want to check out my services, purplerainhealing.com. This is where I offer all of my channeled services, my distance energy healing as well. And one of the big things that I do that I want you all to be aware of is I help you with your soul journey, understanding past, present, future, whether it's galactic lives, past lives, also what's going on in your current journey and how your soul journey influences that, in addition to potential future. And potential future is just that. We talk a lot about that. So I give you big picture understanding. And within that, one of my specialties is past lives. Past lives are clearing through us now. And I'm going to do another video coming up pretty soon on just clearing in general, which I think you'll find interesting. And it's not just for newbies. So with that said, check out my services, purplerainhealing.com. And I thank you so much for joining me in this November energy update. And I wish you well for the start of it. Thank you.